At 45, though, you have the world by the hand. You've got everything going for you. It's hot. It's humid. You're going to be
Going
grinding.
through your mind right now.
I'm so blank. I'm thinking of my parents who are watching now. Mom, Dad, nakuha ko! Oh my God!
Wake up and come halfway across the world, or more than halfway, to not feel the fire. And it's a lot of work.
Tennis royalty declares war. Venus Williams drops nuclear bomb after Alexandra Ila forced into humiliating apology, the scandal that's tearing tennis apart. Welcome back to Court Vision Plus, the only place where we don't just watch the match, we read between the lines, expose the politics, and give you the unfiltered truth that the tennis establishment desperately wants to keep hidden. If you're new here, do yourself a massive favor and hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to reveal is going to fundamentally change the way you view women's tennis forever. Seriously, join the Court Vision Plus family, because we're the only ones with the courage to say what everyone else is thinking but too afraid to speak out loud. Listen, family, I need you to grab your popcorn, maybe a stress ball, and definitely prepare yourself emotionally, because today's story is absolutely infuriating and represents everything that's wrong with how the tennis world treats rising female superstars. We're talking about a scandal that has sent shockwaves through the entire tennis community, involving the explosive Filipino sensation Alexandra Ila and the undisputed queen herself, Venus Williams. What's happening to Alexandra Ila right now is utterly shameful, completely unacceptable, and frankly represents the toxic underbelly of professional tennis that nobody wants to acknowledge. Just days after her historic breakthrough run at the ASB Classic in Auckland, where she announced herself as a legitimate threat in women's tennis, reports started surfacing that Ila was pressured into making an apology that she absolutely never should have had to make. An apology for what, you ask? For playing with power, passion, and the heart of a true champion. For refusing to be the quiet, submissive athlete that the establishment apparently wants all women to be. For having the audacity to celebrate her victories and hit the ball with the same ferocity that male players are celebrated for every single day. But here's where this story takes an absolutely explosive turn. Venus Williams, the legend, the icon, the woman who literally changed the game alongside her sister Serena and opened doors for every woman of color in tennis, was absolutely not having it. She stepped in with a defense so powerful, so raw, so brutally honest and undeniable that it silenced the critics instantly and exposed the deep-seated misogyny and racism that still plague professional tennis in 2026. We're going to break down exactly what happened behind the scenes in Auckland, analyze the statement that broke the internet and had millions of fans around the world rallying behind Ila, explore why this moment might just be the definitive turning point for the next generation of WTA stars, and examine what this means for the future of women's tennis. You think you know the story? Trust me, you have absolutely no idea how deep this rabbit hole goes. Let's get into it. To truly understand the magnitude of this explosion and why Venus Williams felt compelled to make such a powerful public statement, we have to look at the broader context of what's been happening with Alexandra Ila over the past several months. It's January 2026, and Alexandra Ila is no longer just a promising prospect or a former junior champion trying to find her way on the professional tour. She's evolved into a genuine force to be reckoned with, a player who combines technical brilliance with raw power and mental toughness that's reminiscent of the greatest champions the sport has ever seen. Ila has just crashed into the WTA top 50 for the first time in her career, a massive achievement for any player, especially one from the Philippines where tennis infrastructure and support pale in comparison to traditional tennis powerhouses like the United States, Europe, or Australia. She's coming off a sensational semi-final run at the ASB Classic in Auckland, where she defeated higher-ranked opponents with a combination of aggressive baseline play, strategic brilliance, and the kind of fighting spirit that you simply cannot teach. She has momentum that feels unstoppable, the kind of momentum that creates champions and changes careers. But apparently, for certain people embedded within the tennis establishment, people who benefit from maintaining the status quo and keeping emerging talents in their place, that momentum represents a serious problem. The rumors started swirling almost immediately after her dominant quarter-final victory at the ASB Classic. Viewers watching the tournament, insiders connected to various teams, and tennis journalists began whispering about an alleged incident that occurred behind the scenes, away from the cameras and the cheering crowds. The narrative being aggressively pushed by certain corners of the tennis world was that Ila was somehow being too aggressive in her playstyle, that her passionate celebrations after winning crucial points were supposedly unsportsmanlike or inappropriate, or that her sheer physical power, regularly hitting forehands that clock in at a blistering 140 kilometers per hour, was somehow intimidating in a way that violated the unspoken etiquette of the sport. Can you even believe that we're having this conversation in 2026? In an era where we've supposedly made progress on gender equality in sports, we're still actively policing how hard a woman can hit a tennis ball and how loudly or expressively she can celebrate the fruits of her labor, the culmination of years of sacrifice, training, injuries, and relentless dedication. The double standard is so glaring it's almost comical, except it's not funny at all because it's destroying careers and crushing spirits. The word spreading through tennis circles was that tournament officials, or perhaps influential voices associated with the team of Ila's opponent, or maybe even powerful figures within tennis governing bodies, actively pressured Ila to tone down her game, to dial back her intensity, to stop playing with such fire and emotion. They wanted an apology. They wanted her to publicly say sorry for playing with the heart of a champion, for refusing to fit neatly into their predetermined box of what a female tennis player should look and act like. And for a terrifying moment, it appeared as though they might actually get away with it. It looked like they were going to successfully force this young, incredibly talented, brilliant player into a restrictive box, making her feel small and ashamed just as she was finally becoming big and claiming her rightful place among tennis elite. Let's zoom out for a second and examine why this particular controversy is erupting at this specific moment in time. We're in mid-January 2026. The Australian Open, the first Grand Slam tournament of the year and one of the most prestigious events in all of tennis, is just days away. Ila is scheduled to make her main draw debut in Melbourne, having earned direct entry based on her improved ranking, and she's set to face the big-serving American player Alicia Parks in a first-round match that has suddenly taken on massive significance. The timing of this entire apology controversy and the pressure campaign against Ila feels deeply suspicious when you consider the context. It feels orchestrated. It feels like a deliberate attempt to rattle her mentally, to shake her confidence, to get inside her head before the biggest tournament of her entire life. Think carefully about what happened at the ASB Classic and how dominant Ila actually was throughout the tournament. She didn't just barely scrape by her opponents in tight 3-set battles. She didn't luck into the semifinals. She absolutely dominated quality opposition. She took down Magda Linette, a top 30 player and former Australian Open quarter-finalist, in the quarter-finals with aggressive, confident tennis. She pushed Wang Xinyu, another rising star, in a competitive semi-final that showcased Ila's ability to compete with the sport's emerging elite. Earlier in the tournament, she defeated Donna Vekic, a player who's been in the top 20 and reached Wimbledon semi-finals. This wasn't a fluke run. This was a statement that Alexandra Ila has arrived as a legitimate contender. This is a player who is rapidly and dramatically outgrowing the underdog label that she's carried for years. And if we're being completely honest about tennis history, when players from minority backgrounds, when women of color, when athletes from non-traditional tennis nations start dominating with power, emotion, and unapologetic confidence, the tennis establishment typically gets very uncomfortable very quickly. We saw this exact pattern play out with Serena Williams for literally 2 decades. We've seen glimpses of it with Coco Gauff when she started speaking out on social issues. We saw it with Naomi Osaka when she prioritized her mental health. And now, they're trying the exact same playbook with Alexandra Ila, hoping she doesn't have the support system or the strength to resist their pressure. The specific criticism of her 140 km/h ground strokes is particularly laughable when you examine it closely. Throughout men's tennis, we celebrate and glorify players for hitting the ball with maximum power. When Carlos Alcaraz or Jannik Sinner rips a massive forehand winner, commentators describe it as explosive, brilliant, championship-level tennis. When Novak Djokovic or Daniil Medvedev crushes a backhand, it's praised as world-class ball striking. Nobody ever suggests these men should apologize for their power or tone down their game. But when Alexandra Ila does the exact same thing, when she generates that same kind of pace and plays with that same intensity, suddenly she needs to apologize? Suddenly her power is characterized as a problem? The implication is crystal clear, even if nobody wants to say it out loud. The message being sent is that she's too much. That her strength is somehow an offense against tennis decorum. that powerful women, especially powerful women of color from non-traditional tennis backgrounds, should know their place and stay in it. Venus Williams called this out absolutely perfectly with her pointed question, since when does a healthy woman have to apologize? The answer, of course, is never. A healthy, strong, talented woman should never have to apologize for those attributes. But the tennis establishment keeps trying to make it happen anyway. We absolutely have to give tremendous credit and recognition to Venus Williams for taking this stand. At 45 years old, Venus doesn't have any obligation to involve herself in these controversies. She could simply play her occasional matches on tour, collect appearance fees, focus on her highly successful interior design business, spend time with family, and enjoy the fruits of her legendary career. She's earned that right many times over. Nobody would blame her for staying out of tennis politics and avoiding potential backlash. But Venus has always been the shield, the protector, the one willing to take the arrows so that others don't have to. She protected Serena when they were kids facing racism at junior tournaments. She spoke out about equal prize money when it was unpopular and risky. She's challenged sexism and racism throughout her entire career. And now she's extending that same protection to the next generation of players who need it. There's also something beautifully poetic about the fact that Ilya and Jovic defeated Venus in doubles just days before this controversy erupted. A lesser champion, someone more concerned with ego than legacy, might have been bitter about that loss. A lesser champion might have thought, let the kid learn the hard way like I had to. Let her fight her own battles. But Venus saw something different when she looked at Alexandra Ilya. She saw greatness. She saw a young woman dealing with the exact same discriminatory nonsense that Venus dealt with back in 1998 when she was breaking into the tour. She saw history repeating itself. And she decided to use her enormous platform and respected voice to try to crush this pattern once and for all. This changes absolutely everything for Ilya's career trajectory going forward. Having the explicit, public stamp of approval from Venus Williams is worth more than any trophy or ranking points. It tells sponsors and brands that Ilya is marketable and worth investing in. It tells tournament officials that she has powerful allies and can't be pushed around. It tells other players that Ilya has earned the respect of tennis royalty. It tells fans around the world that she's someone worth supporting and following. And most importantly, it tells the bullies, the critics, and the people trying to keep her down that they need to back off immediately because they're now fighting against Venus Williams, and that's a fight they will lose every single time. The internet has been absolutely losing its collective mind over Venus's statement and this entire situation. The hashtag apologize for what started trending worldwide on Twitter within hours of the story breaking, with hundreds of thousands of tweets demanding answers and supporting Ilya. Fans from the Philippines, where Ilya is already a national hero and inspiration to millions, and from literally every corner of the globe are flooding the comment sections of the ASB Classics social media pages, demanding accountability, transparency, and answers. They want to know specifically who asked Ilya to apologize. They want names. They want consequences for whoever orchestrated this pressure campaign. One of the top comments that received tens of thousands of likes perfectly captured the absurdity of the situation. If Alex Ilya has to apologize for hitting a winner, then I guess Roger Federer should be in jail for assault with a deadly weapon. Another fan wrote something that resonated with hundreds of thousands of people. Venus Williams just ended the committee's whole career with one statement. Don't you dare touch our golden girl. The sentiment across social media, across tennis forums, across fan communities is absolutely clear and unified. The world is completely tired of watching women athletes being tone policed, having their emotions scrutinized, having their celebrations criticized, and being held to completely different standards than their male counterparts. We want to see fire. We want to see genuine passion. We want to see players who care deeply about winning and aren't afraid to show it. We want to see Ilya hit the ball at 150 km per hour next time, just to prove the point even more emphatically that she will not be controlled. So where do we go from here? What happens next in this rapidly evolving story? Alexandra Ilya is currently in Melbourne, preparing intensively for the Australian Open, her first Grand Slam main draw as a seeded player with genuine expectations of advancing deep into the tournament. She's facing Alicia Parks in the first round, a matchup that was already intriguing before this controversy but has now become absolutely must-watch television. Parks is known throughout the tour for her massive, powerful serve. She once hit a serve clocked at 129 miles per hour, which tied Venus Williams' record for fastest serve by a woman. This match was always going to be a power-hitting slugfest between two young players unafraid to go for their shots. But now, this first-round match has transformed into something much bigger than tennis. It's not just a match anymore. It's a statement game. It's a referendum on everything that's happened over the past week. Ila isn't just playing for a spot in the second round or trying to accumulate ranking points. She's playing to vindicate herself. She's playing to prove that the critics were wrong. She's playing to show that she will not be intimidated, diminished, or controlled. She's playing with the spirit and strength of Venus Williams metaphorically in her corner, backing her every step of the way. Every single forehand she hits is going to carry the weight of this entire controversy, all the anger, all the frustration, all the determination to prove everyone wrong. I honestly pity Alicia Parks right now, because she's about to step onto Margaret Court Arena or one of the show courts in Melbourne and face a woman who has been poked, prodded, harassed, pressured, and then ultimately empowered by a legend. Ila is going to come out swinging with everything she has. She's going to play with a level of intensity and focus that Parks probably isn't fully prepared for. This controversy, as painful and frustrating as it's been, might actually turn out to be the best thing that ever happened to Ila's career. It's stripped away all the niceties and politeness. It's forced her to embrace her power fully without apology. It's given her a compelling storyline and narrative that transcends tennis and reaches into broader conversations about sexism, racism, and the treatment of women athletes. She's no longer just the promising former junior champion trying to make it on tour. She's now the rebel, the fighter, the one who refused to fit in the box that society wanted to put her in. Let's talk about the psychology behind why certain people in tennis wanted this apology from Ila in the first place, because understanding the motivations reveals everything about what's wrong with the sports culture. Why do they want women to apologize for being excellent? It's fundamentally about control and maintaining existing power structures. It's about sending a message that says, you can win, but only if you do it quietly and don't make too much noise. You can be strong, but don't look too strong or make others uncomfortable with your strength. You can succeed, but only on our terms and within the boundaries we establish. It's the exact same reason Serena Williams was criticized and penalized for her famous catsuit at the French Open. It's the same reason Coco Gauff faced backlash when she spoke powerfully about Black Lives Matter and social justice. It's the same reason Naomi Osaka was fined and threatened when she prioritized her mental health. The establishment claims to want strong, successful women, but when those women actually display strength and achieve success on their own terms, suddenly there's a problem that needs to be corrected. Venus's quote, "not a doll that they have to squeeze into the box," cuts directly to the heart of this issue with devastating accuracy. The tennis world, like most sports institutions, loves a doll. They love a smiling, waving, perfectly media-trained champion who says all the right things, never causes controversy, always shows gratitude, and makes everyone comfortable. But Ila is showing grit instead of just smiles. She's showing teeth and competitive fire. She's showing that she's a complete, complex human being with emotions and opinions. And that authenticity, that realness, absolutely terrifies people who benefit from maintaining control over athletes. When Venus specifically mentions that she saw Ila grit her teeth when she was insulted, it hints at a much darker side of the professional tour that we rarely see as fans watching from home. The locker room can be an incredibly lonely, hostile place, especially for players from underrepresented backgrounds. The comments from other players, coaches, and officials can be absolutely vicious, laced with racism, sexism, and nationalism. Ila has had to endure the enormous pressure of carrying an entire nation, the Philippines with its population of over 100 million people, on her back while simultaneously navigating a Western-dominated sport that doesn't always know what to do with Asian power players or how to market them effectively. So when you tune into the Australian Open this week, when you watch Alexandra Ila walk onto the court for her first-round match, don't just watch for the score or the statistics. Watch Ila's face closely. Watch her walk, her body language, her demeanor. You're going to see a completely different player than the one who started the season. You're going to see a player who knows with absolute certainty that she has the backing of the Queen of Tennis herself. You're going to see a player who is completely done apologizing for being excellent. You're going to witness the emergence of a champion who refuses to be controlled. And to all the people, whoever they are, who try to make Alexandra Ila apologize for her power and her passion, you made a catastrophic mistake. You didn't humble her. You made her famous. You gave her a platform and a cause. You made her a martyr and a symbol. You united millions of fans behind her. And most importantly, most dangerously for you, you made Venus Williams angry. And as the history of tennis clearly shows, when the Williams sisters get angry about injustice, they don't just complain. They change the entire world. Alright, Court Vision Plus family, I absolutely need to hear from you right now because your voices matter in this conversation. What do you think about Venus Williams' powerful statement defending Alexandra Ila? Was she absolutely right to step in and use her platform this way, or do you think she should have stayed out of it? And do you believe Alex Ila should have just made the apology to avoid controversy, or was she right to repost Venus's statement and take a stand? Drop a comment below right now because I want to see 1,000 comments supporting these incredible women. If you stand with Alex Ila and believe she should never have been asked to apologize, comment "No apology" in all caps. If you stand with Venus Williams and support her decision to speak out, comment Queen V so we can show the world where we stand on this issue. Don't forget to absolutely smash the like button if you support women's sports and believe female athletes deserve the same respect and freedom as male athletes, and please, for the love of tennis and everything this sport should represent, subscribe to Court Vision Plus. We are literally the only channel bringing you the unfiltered truth they don't want you to hear, the stories behind the stories, and the courage to call out injustice when we see it. Also, make sure you tell all your friends, family, and fellow tennis fans to subscribe to this new channel because we are just getting started with exclusive content. We have so many more exclusives, behind-the-scenes stories, and investigations coming from Melbourne and beyond next week that you absolutely will not want to miss. Until next time, keep your eyes on the ball, keep fighting for what's right, and never, ever apologize for your power. Peace.
Hi everyone, it's Alex here. I just got off my match in Grandstand, and I just want to thank you all so much.
I should just take it with a spoonful of gratitude. I think not a lot of people get to experience this in